Hello everyone, my name's Josh Diaz, and today I'll be recounting my favorite memories from DPReview. Now, I'm sure you've already heard the news, but here's a recap. Yesterday, the photography website DPReview announced that it would be shutting down shortly. The DPReview web team posted about it, and Jordan and Chris from the DPReviewTV team made a video shortly after. Now, the reason for shutting down was linked on the website. It was to an Amazon announcement from CEO Andy Jassy, where he informed Amazon employees that the company would be eliminating 18,000 roles from the company, and DPReview, being owned by Amazon, was on the chopping block to be terminated. And it doesn't look good for the DPReview site itself either. In this post about its closure, the DPReview team said that the site would be active until April 10th, 2023, after which the site would be locked. Now, the most worrying part was in the announcement, they weren't exactly clear as to what would be happening to the DPReview site after it was going to be locked and how long it would stay online. DPReview.com represents one of the most extensive digital archives of photography information in the world, and to see it completely disappear from the web would be a significant loss to photography and videography communities. Not to mention that for over 20 years, DPReview has allowed members of its website to upload their own personal photography, all of which could be lost if it's not recovered from the site in between now and the site's closure. In their announcement, they did say they would be helping people download media on the site, so that is a positive. The loss of DPReview.com is going to be an incredibly tough one for the photography and videography community. But this video, I'm trying not to be incredibly sad. The point of this video is to reminisce on some of my favorite memories with DPReview and DPReviewTV and go through some of my gear choices from my career as a videographer. I do want to say right off the bat that this video will also be slanted heavily in favor of DPReviewTV, the YouTube channel, as opposed to DPReview.com, which houses the forums and the news site. That's because I'm much more of a video watcher than an article reader, but DPReview.com is an incredible resource for photography and videography knowledge. I think it dates back to 1999 or the early 2000s when people were posting photography information and talking about cameras and technology online. I can vividly remember using the forums back in 2017 to ask questions about purchasing my own first camera. Now, that first camera was a Panasonic G7. And I remember reading the review for it on DPReview.com, and the review said the camera was, well, it was all right. And after using it for a number of years, I can satisfyingly report that, yes, the camera was all right. It was a perfectly fine camera. But I remember learning a lot of the information about it on DPReview.com and watching a review on DPReviewTV. And I think one of the reasons I was so fond of it was because I remember on DPReviewTV, they would talk very favorably about the Micro Four Thirds system, especially the video professional Jordan Drake, who I think in every episode of their TV show, their YouTube channel, would mention the GH4 or the GH5 and how great it was as a video camera. And kind of starting my career in video, I thought maybe getting into the Micro Four Thirds system with Panasonic would also be a good choice. And then later down the road, I also got the chance to shoot with a GH4 and a GH5, and I got to see what exactly they were raving about or what exactly the reviews were so good on at DPReview for those cameras. And I had a lot of fun shooting on those cameras at the early point in my career. I didn't know a lot about videography and taking photos back then, but I can tell you this, I learned a lot about the Micro Four Thirds system and lens options from DPReview, perusing the forums, reading reviews, and of course, watching DPReviewTV. So that is my earliest memory with this media company. When I started to take video production a little more seriously and accumulate more freelance clients, I had to make a big decision, and that was what camera system did I want to invest in for my professional career. This was big money coming off the back of the Panasonic G7, and it was very stressful to have to choose between the big brands, Canon, Nikon, Sony. At that point, Panasonic, Olympus, they all had their offerings as well, and I was feeling quite lost as to where to put my money for the next 3, 5, 7 years, especially when it came to lenses. So where did I turn when I needed the information to buy my big camera package? Well, I went to DPReviewTV. And I remember specifically watching Chris Nichols' video on the A7 III, so that was the launch video or the review video, and watching him review it favorably, watching him talk about the autofocus and the new capabilities of the camera and how it was great for video. And really that's what made my decision as the first full frame 4K video. I picked up the Sony a7 III, and it was one of the best decisions of my professional career in terms of gear acquisition. I'm happily a Sony shooter. I shoot on the E-mount now, and I would say that is because of the accurate and favorable reporting of DPReview.com and DPReviewTV. And of course, they made it fun too. Those reviews were always so great to watch, and the real world situations along with the chart shots really helped me make my decision. So that's going to be a big loss for people in the future looking to make these investments into camera systems, and they don't necessarily have the same resources to turn to make that decision. Compounding on how difficult that decision was back in, it was like 2018, 2019, that's when brands were just getting into the mirrorless format system. So looking for reviews, I think they were comparing the a7 III against Canon and Nikon products of a DSLR measure. I don't remember what the cameras were specifically, but I had a practical decision to make, and that was essentially the a7 III versus, I don't know if it was the Canon like the Mark IV. I don't remember what Nikon was, but it was definitely a DSLR, and mirrorless hadn't taken off yet. So in order to make that jump from a traditional DSLR, what I shot in school, to the a7 III, which is what I needed the education on, I relied heavily on DPReviewTV and the write-ups and talking to people on the forums to make an educated decision on whether or not E-mount was a good investment. And of course, it was. I made that investment, and I have DPReview and DPReviewTV to thank for that. After I got my a7 III camera, I got more gigs, more small corporate stuff, commercial work, and I remember really enjoying it. And I even watched the follow-up video on DPReviewTV where they compared the a7 III to, I think it was the Z6 and the EOS R from Canon. And I remember watching those reviews and kind of being on the, not on the fence, but kind of being anxious about like, oh, I hope those cameras aren't better than mine. I hope mine is still, you know, the really good camera to have. And I still really enjoyed the a7 III because it was still holding up, and that was because of the accurate reporting from DPReview. They got the facts right, and I was still really enjoying shooting with that camera a couple years down the road. I specifically remember though when Jordan Drake's S1H camera review came out, and I was on pins and needles because that looked like the perfect video camera, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna regret my a7 III. This one looks really good. And you know what? DPReview gave me the facts about that camera. They reported on it in a really interesting and inspiring way, essentially. And even though the camera had features that I wanted, they never made me feel bad for going in a certain direction. It was accurate, objective reporting, and they had their own twist on it, which made it incredibly fun to watch, incredibly, satisfying to tune into. And I never missed an episode. As the years went on, I watched all of the E-mount lens reviews, and I caught the occasional feature here. I remember when they were doing Leica cameras. I really loved they had the year-end review program, which they must have had fun making that one. And it must have been good for them too, because they kept doing it and it kept getting more and more views. So that was always a fun program to watch. So just continuously tuning in. Like I never stopped watching DPReviewTV or going to the forums. It just became a part of how you learn things as a professional in the video photo space. Even recently, when I had to make my big decision of purchasing a new camera, the Sony FX3, I continue to go to DPReview and DPReviewTV to get the information on what that camera was about, or if it was the next camera for me. And because I was able to get that info, I determined it was. And now we're shooting on an FX3 primarily because DPReview and the information they gave me in the past put me on the E-mount path, and all of my equipment continues to work with this camera. Today I run a video production company called Videos by Josh in Winnipeg, Manitoba. I serve a variety of local, commercial, and corporate clients, and I can say with complete honesty that a lot of the production decisions I make as part of my small business are motivated by the knowledge I learned from DPReview. And that's changed how I make decisions at my business. To me, DPReviewTV was one of the essential channels you needed to watch if you were a camera enthusiast. And what made their offering so unique was they had the back end of DPReview.com and the forums, which was just this incredible resource of knowledge, just in case you needed a bit more. One bright spot to the story is that DPReviewTV hosts Chris Nichols and Jordan Drake said that they would be going to Petapixel to continue hopefully the same style of videos and camera reviews that we're used to. I think DPReviewTV, I think they employed roughly a little over a dozen people, at least by their website. And I truly hope that everyone who is affected by this will be able to transition into another area of the industry. To all those who have worked at DPReview over the years, I'd like to thank you for the education, information, and entertainment that you've provided to me. The decisions you've made on your website and YouTube channel have undoubtedly affected me as a creative professional, and any success that I see in the future can certainly be attributed to the things I learned from your site over the last decade.